We are in the middle of a full-blown power cut. Luckily, I have the most stupid number of batteries. What's really annoying is I want to get the internet going, but in order to do that, I have to go lug a big battery in with an inverter, and I'm almost certain that by the time that's done, the power will be back. Admittedly, it has been out for like half an hour now, so... Should we go for the backup plan, Jasper? What are you doing climbing on there?
I was trying to reach the light.
No, don't touch the lights, Monkey. Just leave that one on so we know when the power's back. Shall I go sort you out with some internet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that might stop you climbing on the furniture. I actually quite like power cuts, but what annoys me about them is they never seem to last long enough. The other slightly annoying thing is it becomes really difficult to make coffees. Not impossible, but difficult. This thing's not light. Right, do you remember the rules with this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No touching.
Okay.
Right, internet should be coming up in a minute. Right, go get the other battery box now. I wish you knew how long power cuts were going to last. You know what else I wish? I wish that in this country, the power wall would actually work as backup power as well. Unfortunately, at the moment, it doesn't. If you're in the US, it will do, but for some reason around here, they just haven't quite got there yet. Yes, perfect. So now this side of the house is going to get internet too. Jasper's entertained. Absolutely critical that we don't lose internet for any length of time, because Soph will not come home if there's no internet here. She'll just stay in the office. Luckily the car is not empty, because I would never leave it empty for exactly this reason. I just hope whatever the problem is, they get it sorted nice and soon, because it's a real faff charging up batteries and then carrying them over here. And in the last house it was beautiful because I had the whole backup power system in the office, which was part of the house. So I just literally trundled through the house with a great big extension cable and plugged in whatever I needed to plug in. Yeah, I very definitely look forward to the day that we have a power wall and that it can actually supply backup power to the house. I think the problem is regulatory. I'm expecting the lights to come back on now. Oh man. Yeah, the power's still out, which means no cooking, and I'd prefer not to open the fridge too much, because you never know how long these things will last. We had a 36-hour power cut. When was it? It was a while ago. It was in the old house. Lost the contents of all our freezers. Oh, and in a totally not related to power cut sort of way whatsoever, I think Fiat Chrysler might be changing their tune on electric vehicles. Apparently, because the writing's on the wall for diesel, I mean, it seems like EVs are the most talked about and under-delivered of products ever. It's crazy, really. One little tip, if you're carting food around on the passenger seat, put the heated seat on. Keep it nice and warm. Not sure why I'm plugging in. Come to daddy. And just like that, the power's back. Oh, thank God for that. I was starting to get really concerned. It would be nice to not have any inconvenience associated with them whatsoever. Come on, Tesla and or the UK government, sort it out. And just jumping back to diesel. Part of the reason why Fiat Chrysler have decided that they're going to have to reluctantly do something with EVs is because, how do I put this? The writing's on the wall for diesel. Oh yeah, and actually I would go further than that and say that ultimately the writing is on the wall for petrol and diesel. And there's quite a few countries now which are committing to phasing out the sale of new petrol and diesel cars. They're usually saying like 2040, which is quite a long way away. But although it's quite a long way away, it's still something that companies need to start thinking about. This reminds me of a video that somebody posted in the comment section on a video from a few days ago. They sort of said, oh, I'd love to see you do a sort of rebuttal of this. And I mean, I'm going to link in the description if you want to go check it out. It is shocking propaganda piece, basically. Wow, never heard such a load of nonsense in my whole life. So this video by PragerU is titled The War on Cars, and right from the outset it takes the opinion that things like cafe standards and CARB and all the various emission reduction techniques and trying to encourage people to take public transport over owning their own car or driving an electric car rather than a petrol or a diesel is all basically part of some massive conspiracy to try and limit the freedom of individual people to just go out, get in their vehicle and go wherever they like. Now, I personally am a massive fan of freedom, the freedom that comes from having a car and just being able to go wherever you like, whether that's Orkney or Devon or the north coast of Italy or Poland or wherever you want to go. And this is the crazy thing, right? I'm quite convinced that EVs are in fact far more enabling than petrol or diesel cars because they break the link between having to spend money and covering miles. Admittedly, the French toll roads do cause a slight issue. EVs, at least for me, are far more freedom giving than a petrol or diesel, far more. You rely on infrastructure, sure, but you rely on infrastructure if you drive a petrol or diesel, and it's not like you brew your own fuel, is it? As far as I know, I suppose maybe some people do, but most don't. And it would be much easier to brew your own fuel anyway if you had an electric vehicle, because all you'd really need is a big battery bank and some solar panels and a hefty size inverter, and you could charge up your vehicle when the sun's out, and it wouldn't matter what the grid was doing. This video also then goes on to go through the environmental concerns surrounding EVs, spouting that, usual rubbish of it's 3 times more deadly for the environment than driving a petrol or diesel would be over the lifetime of the vehicle, things like that, which for the most part have been quite thoroughly debunked in all manner of scientific studies and other YouTube videos, of course, so I'm not even going to bother going to something that ridiculous. Fundamentally, I think this video is just the perfect example of Luddites in action. It's new, it's going to change things about the world, and we don't like it. Quick, give me a hammer, I'm going to smash it. That's the mentality that seems to be flowing through this particular piece. The video also takes a pop at the idea of governments meddling in the free market. Well, I actually quite agree with her. I think it's terrible that the government meddles in the free market. I think what should be done immediately, right now, with immediate effect, is that all petrol and diesel users and the cars and the manufacturers should pay for the carbon that they put in the atmosphere. It should be stuck into some sort of a fund so that in the future, one of two things happens. Either there's climate change and we need a load of money to fix it, or 2, there's no climate change and we're giving back the money plus interest. I think that sounds like a perfectly sound solution, but the problem is if you have an unpriced externality, something that Elon Musk is well aware of and has mentioned a number of times, then the market economics don't work anymore, because fundamentally your petrol or diesel cars are not actually paying for what they're doing. They're only paying for half of the equation, so they've got a built-in advantage over something that doesn't necessarily cause that same degree of environmental damage, and also isn't paying for the environmental damage it does do, I might add. So it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but the point I'm trying to get to is that you can't ask free market economics to work properly when it's not set up in such a way that free market economics can work properly. Videos are now going on about smaller and lighter vehicles being less safe than bigger, heavier vehicles, which is basically the arms race mentality to vehicle safety. The only thing that makes a big heavy vehicle more safe than a light small vehicle is the fact that everybody else is driving light small vehicles. If everyone drives around in great big tanks, then the advantage is gone. And it's worse than that, because if you happen to be a pedestrian or a bicycle and you're not wearing several layers of body armour, you're in serious trouble should you get hit by a Humvee. This really is just, I mean, there's probably loads of videos like this out there. This is one of the first ones I've seen that's just outright bonkers. They just showed an animation where they turned a city that was full of cars and parking spaces into one full of green spaces and bike lanes, and then went and said that that's a big problem, that that's the government trying to dissuade people from owning cars rather than actually perhaps just trying to make a city a nicer place to be. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm allowed to include sort of little excerpt bits from that video in this video. I think maybe I should err on the side of copyright safety. So there's a link in the description. Copyright, gugh. There's a bunch of regulation they could get rid of if they wanted. I hope you found that interesting and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram if you don't already, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next instalment of my daily vlog. Bye! One good thing about the fact that this power cut has come to an end is I need to get back into running. It's been a solid 4 or 5 days now, and I was trying to do it every day and it was all going really well, and now I have to pull my socks up.